Yeah, Perl 6. Just like that, this little watch. She said, 53 books so far. On Perl 6, I've been working on Perl 6 myself since, well, technically, if you want to really, if you want to voice correct it, technically, 2003, 2004, when I went to Perl, but that has since evolved and more, and the butterfly has emerged from the Christmas system. And we're now in 2017. I've been working with the actual Perl team on since the beginning of 2014. I'm currently working at Evslak in Romania. We are actually hiring one, if not two, louder. Louder. All right. I need this. Number 2 project. Remember, we are Evslak in Romania is covering one, if not two, Perl programmers. We are eight. We got a nice project here that may actually program for Perl 6. Just to tease everyone, the bandwidth out there is wonderful. I right now, I have a, let's see here, 10 euro a month gigabit fiber. So you got plenty of bandwidth. Come on up. All right. First of all, for those of you that don't know where to find Perl 6, we have Perl 6.org. Perl 6.org is where the software is. Docs.perl6.org. You can find documentation online. There's also Perl6.net and Perl 6 with the that in language. Modules supporting the site for Perl, or you can use Zip. We used to hawk Panda, but now Zip is the Zip modules that we more likely can for Perl 6. Right there is my current somewhat outdated right now website. I have right now what's up there is a 4-part article on Perl instructions. So going out and we look at that. So my current time schedule just to fill people in, where you see more stuff on Perl 6 Live. First of all, there is a webcast coming up on Tuesday with a info Perl 6. I will also be at Open Space in Copenhagen, followed that in Dev Days in Vilnius, Lithuania. After that, heading out to Oslo, Holly, given the situation, who knows. Obviously, going out to Amsterdam and DC for conferences. So that's how busy I'll be over the year. For those of you with your laptops out already to download the module, this is where you look for the Perl 6 parser within Perl 6. Now, at one time, there was a meeting started by, probably started by either a language course or Adam Kennedy, that Perl 5 cannot be parsed by anything but Perl 5, which is not entirely true. If Perl 5 could be parsed by Perl 5, then why is Perl 5 in C? Albeit a macro variety of C for a lot of players. Perl 6 on the other hand, yes, you could parse it with other languages, but it's so much easier to parse it with itself. So that's what this model does. If you want to download and play with it yourself, you want to use Panda or the Zeph installers. I think Zeph is the install keyword. I have not used myself. Now, the question is, why would you want to use one? Here is a sample test. The sample test. Parser.format my$1. Test to see if it is my$1. So it's just taking a string and returning a string, which on the face of it is really, really silly. If so, why does it take 166 seconds to run the test? This is on a VM located back in the US on part of the Lino network. So that's part of why it's so slow. Most of it is file I/O, as you can see, by 23 files. So I assure you, it is very fast, as you see here, 0.06 second CPU. A lot of use times swapping out. It's the begin with a lot of other activity going on. But why would you take a string and just return string? There's no point there. Well, let's take a look briefly at what's actually under the hood. This is in the equivalent in Perl 5 of a regular expression to parse, a very simple statement, $i equal 1. And to try to break it out into pieces. You find out what the keyword is. You find out the very thing. You capture that. And roll the equal sign. And capture the 1 there as a number. This is all in Perl 5. Everyone should probably get all 4 lines. /x there. Let's add a space here and check and add the space there. So there's no real problem trying to parse this. But we'll move now into Perl 6 and change a few things. And do parsing inside Perl 6. We haven't changed that much so far. If you look at your slide here, we use the familiar rule of equal till min operator. You have the /x modifier. Well, hopefully know all that. In Perl 6, you drop out the holes for fill, and you don't need the X. Everything else remains the same, aside that. So this is one way as when you move to how to likely code the Perl 5 over to Perl 6 and what what's going on the side. So what we're doing here with the Perl parser model is we all of this thing, but we're using Perl 6 inside itself, effectively treating the file as reentry. So what's actually happening at this point, we call the format is it is actually calling back to the power inside the power to do the work and returning the match object by the process. Now, if you're going through and doing a compiler and trying to compile the statement, there's some things that you really don't need to worry about. You don't need to worry much about the declaration of your line. You don't need to worry about the fact that it is defined because we're trying to match a defined instruction. All you're going to serve up here is the variable and the number 1. So when I get the match back from the compiler, all it's returning me, this isn't quite correct, as I understand. All it's returning me is the variable here and the expression value. All it's returning me. So when I try to take this expression, parse it down, break it down, here, reset back, what I end up with looks more like this in Perl 6. You have an actual variable name here for the variable. You have integer here for the and this is closer to what is going on inside the power. And this is some of the now, when we have this expression over here, mod $y equal 1, and you want to return that in some format. Say you want to predict that. You want to get rid of the white space there, the equals sign, or say you want to put a tab in there, or say you want to use the author semicolon on the left-hand side of expression. You can do that using this model. So, how does it all work? Let's dig a little bit deeper under the hood here. And start out by, instead of using the format key, let's look at the built-in parse routine. The dot here, for those of you that don't know, is much like in Java and many other languages. The dot is the new black, the new arrow, the new reference object. You dot here is you representing, you dot here is you representing marking. And I'll also throw in a little bit of a little more Perl syntax here with the dash. We probably have that add, and I tend to use that a lot more than most people do because I want to make sure it doesn't go away. As we all know, once you use a feature in Core, it never goes away. You don't know that for Perl 5. You have many features in Perl 5 that can't go away because they've been used for 25 years. Well, get in the way of the code. So what we're doing here is we're doing parsing, and we get back a data tree. When in this case, again, it all comes in from the compiler, inside the compiler. I won't show you that code because it's bound to change here over the next few years. Once we get a proper macro set up, and once we get the abstract syntax predefined, which is what this module is here to do. So we parse our statement, turn a data free. I will show you that in just a second. And then we dump that out. And what we get in our case, this case here, after statement is a very hopefully very straightforward, simple way to view our data. First of all, the entire thing here is a document. If you ever work with API in Perl or Perl Bridge, Perl 5, sorry, if you ever work with API or Perl Critic or Perl Tidy, you'll recognize the input of the bound tree instruction is a document. So this statement here is a document. So we have a document. Inside the document is one or more statements. Down here. The statement. This is all for my internal giving purposes. This tells me what more I need. We use the same object. Very important for debugging. And inside the statement, we have a anonymous statement, followed by the variable object for my. It tells me exactly as start object 0 over here. 0 is part of my code. Over to object 2 over here by the mod. And we generate an online 592. Again, very handy because something breaks and you have to go and breaks a large file. Breaks on the source statement. Because by this time, it is handling and parsing every 20 states as complex as this. So if there is a place-based outplace somewhere within that, I have to either debug that through a long stack trace in Perl 6, or just go right to the line number or the iterates. So fast error tracing, fast debugging, and the routine to generate this is maybe 45 months long. Internally, what I'm doing, I'm trying to make sure that this becomes a core routine because I'm hoping that someone out there, or I'll be careful myself, whichever, is someone will build on top of this, say, a stack data focus, or you build a stack highlighter, or you can use it to build a new version of Perl 6 Pretty. Can be built on top of this. By taking our statement here and breaking it down into pieces and reassembling pieces. So, internally as well, there is a lot of validation because right now, thankfully, the grammar is kind of set, but we can change terms now. So what I want to make sure of is that every piece of the Perl program is counted for. So one of the steps I do is very intense validation. I make sure that 0 is for 2, the next token has to start at number 2. Program has a 3, has to start with 3. So the entire thing has to fall down. So 5, 6, right there is a puzzle. I'm sorry, 6, 7, 6, 7 to like 8 to 9, and so on until the last one. And white space is also preserved. So if you want to say write in paper, if you want to go through and just take out my and by an equal sign, you do that, sure. But if you want to just return everything as it was, the module preserves all white space, even including here dogs. Here dogs are a very special case because the here dog content has to go up here, but the here dog content has to appear here, but it actually in real life code appears down there at the end of the statement. So I create a separate length node down here that does nothing but only caps. So that's the reason behind it. Now, let's take a look at now. The next portion of this will be largely trying to describe why it's useful for you folks in Perl 5 community to go and at least look at some of the features that Perl 6 offers. Now, as you can tell by looking at the base structure here, the here statement, all these are Perl 6 classes. Now, note here that we have a variable class, which just contains one single thing, a single content field, the word my. The entire statement, however, includes a list of multiple variables and white space and operators. So we have essentially a root element, which is either a bare word or a complex of bare word, combination of bare words and listings, etc., which is okay. You can easily do that as an inheritance or some feature. And if you want to, even in Perl 5, you could just drop out replace the class here with package and use boots and add as cat child, as dollar content, or simple. You can do that fairly easily. So you have a variable here with a single content type, and another here with a single content type. And over here you have a statement which has a list of things. So the question really becomes here, how do you kind of reconcile both of these? Because if you want to have just a single overarching element class over all these, well, you have you create your own class element, and the statement is a element, the word is a element, which is fine. The problem comes when you're trying to take these two attributes here and move them up into your parent class, because of course you want to have nested sister classes across the board. So if you had an overall a mythical element class, we had a child and a content. When time comes to validate your code, when time comes to run the testament, what you want to make sure of is that your bare words can only contain one thing, that your statements only contain a list of things. And the best way to do that is, of course, have separate classes. But we always said we want a overarching class. So how do you reconcile that? And when you add in things like a method called foo, heron, list, that becomes even more complex because they have both the name foo and heron list over here. So you get a combination of the list of triad children and the original content, like so. So how do you reconcile those? Well, again, you can do this in Perl 5 too, by using buffers. Okay. I'll put along while he's looking. So what we use here is roles. Roles you can get in Boost, in Perl 5, and in Perl 6 you get them for free. They're essentially a slice of a class. Is how I like to. So what I've done here, instead of having a whole bunch of classes and then having all the content inside the classes. What I've done is I've taken the classes that we have here, these listings, and where we have a child, I create a branching role. So a child, so a statement has branches off it. Over here for the bare word only has one thing, so instead of having a conflict between the two, between a tree and a single point, what I've done is created a naming rule so that the bare word only have bare word does naming and the statement does branching. Now I can follow we're starting still to figure out how to do, we're starting to figure out still how the Perl 6 best practices will be. But I find that if you're naming roles and classes, naming roles at least in English, if you use the any, you use the adjective over here, branching, naming, debugging, it reads very nicely. Class statement does branching. Or you could say class statement does branch and it sort of falls on the end. So what we got here is content slide naming. So right here the bare word only has a name variable. Inside the operator only has a name. And these are the only two ways that you can build the tree so that there are no other bits of data going around. And likewise, if you want to connect to for a method call, i.e. method parent list, you can have it do a name for the method, and for the list, you do the branch. We have both the element node and the branches on it. So it's not so much a way to create a slice for the class here as a way to help validate and make sure that your tree is consistent. Which I find, again, very handy. Because one of the things that, going back to Perl 5, one simple thing, if we have, say, Perl 5 package, we'll call it a factory package that does stuff. Inside here we have some debugging terms where we have dump text and dump term, and we have the real loop, which is the match document. What else happens isn't now in Perl 5, there's a whole bunch of ways to comment out your code, of course. At least two common ways. You also use pound signs as a term, comment out that way, or use your the old people who like so. The old people who blah 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 cut. But we all know that once we write the code, okay. Suppose here we have down. Suppose here later on in debugging, we have a subroutine down here. So in order to comment all of our debugging that we want to do before pushing production, we have comment out here and skip that bit right there, and then come out more down there. Well, the rules there come to rescue, because in this case, what you can do is take your debugging methods, here, dump text, dump term, the process term, put those into a role, and add that to your class. So now, when you want to comment out all of your debugging, instead if I find a equal to, equal bar, or pound sign, you go into your class and comment out right there at one point. So remove your debugging, you can remove any sort of validation or backtracing with one line, instead of having to change packages and add roles and whatnot. And as a bonus, if you want to make sure that you can't see the role outside on your class phone, you use mine because now classes and roles and everything can be lessly scoped. So now we have our method already like getting. If you're like me and a hardcore film user, you know the keywords around the paragraph and you go from place to place, so it becomes very easy to go from here to here and jump down past your code or selecting your entire playing role in one fell swoop without having to worry about, okay, did I put this down here? Is there more people down there? Is there validation stuff up here that I need to worry about? You don't need to worry about that. Put it all aside, one role, packed away, is hidden away in another class, in another role rather, and comment out, and it's in one module in your code. Okay, now, you might, after taking a look at this huge tree and wondering, okay, so how do you want this thing? How do you get your output? If I want to write my own format, how do I do that? How do I take this string, get this tree out, and how much work is actually want to get out to get your text out? Well, it is just that easy. That is all I/O that you need. This is the entire method to return a string. With all that data structure behind, with all those methods, all those objects going on, this is all you need to turn your Perl 6 code back from the data structure into Perl 6. That's it. I'm trying to literally take this as simple as can be. I'm going to show you the code only uses the fastest transfers I use in the code are further expressions and if and else, and given when. Those are the most complex things I use in the code. I can also replace a lot of stuff with index calls to work in life, but not worry about that right now. Now, I mentioned before code formatting. So if you have this two-string routine that returns the content, returns the word my from a variable, or returns, in this case, a list of all things in the building. And by the way, now you can kind of see why it's important to have roles and to separate tasks, so that the variable call doesn't accidentally do this, or why the statement should never return the content. Because then you're crossing screens, and each one of those crossing screens is bad. So if you want to write your own format, if you want to say get rid of all white space, that's it. Remove all white space and for code with less than a line code. The bang field here is matching the type for 620 list. And this is all that you need to write your own format. If you want to ignore space, that's fine. If you want to skip over, if you want to replace white space with your own, then you return how much white space followed by the operator followed by more white space. So that's all you have to do to write your own paper. That's it. So, back to the open, and back to Perl function. A little bit. We've all been here. We have a call here that does something that's broken. We need to find out what's going on, and we need feedback. Hands up here, how many people use data network for this? Okay, those of you that use YAML or JSON. Okay, I'm also a minority. I bring out myself. Nice. So you would add, so this was very foolish, I'm sure. Use data number, get data stuff, get the data bad stuff, get the number file. Everything copacetic, no problem. But the time comes we want to commit the get commit or BCR commit, and you forget to remove the print double mode. Been there, done that many times. I don't know about you. Been there, done it. Also, over here you got this huge data line, and someone eventually is going to look at and wonder, okay, why do you have a data dumper routine when you don't actually call that data line? Is something deeper in the code line missing? No, you just forgot to remove it after you looked. Well, Perl 667 stay away from you. If you need to debug statements, I guess that's it. There's no need for using YAML, or there's no need for expression modules, there's no need for callbacks, no need for the number, no need for YAML. Use and return the code just of the data structure. If you can also use .perl and it will turn the Perl, you'll turn a version of the Perl into a split. That's it. There is something about here. And you search around for the word .gist or the word .perl if you prefer, and remove those from the debug. Keeps it very, very straightforward. Commenting. I lose it beforehand. In Perl 5, there's a bunch of ways to comment out of code. You can use sound size, sub-document, blah, 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 blah. The content noise here is not. The important thing is the row of power size down the side. You can do things this way in Perl 5. If you're fancier, you can use your for comment cut. And hopefully you'll remember to add these blank lines there, because otherwise the Perl 5 pod will put that into your documents. And when someone goes Perl doc, your module, they'll see this debug inside there, and they shouldn't. Well, that's okay too. If you use, say, Atom or Eclipse or Emacs within, they'll have rolled and evolved to have pound markers. They have a meta X coming out line, or a meta X or meta X add for tag. The problem though is that most of those addresses haven't quite caught to the way Perl does format. In Perl 5, Perl 6, what sort of? In C, say you have slash star dot star slash. C, Vim and EX and Adam all know how to jump between the start and end of that line. When it comes to Perl, jumping from the equal sign to another equal sign to another equal sign, they get confused. At least Vim does. You can add highlighting to be sure, no problems. You can add your own highlight markers, you can add your own basic code to go in and change how the error works. But really, it's better to use the principles of Hugo and roll with the error. So when it comes out, you turn it. And you all know how you jump from the start of the marker to the end. In Vim is percent. In Emacs, I think it's meta point, meta $sign. Jump between that. I don't know about this. But in Perl 6, we saw that. You have the comment marker here with a backtick in there, jump there, down there. So here we are using the address nav dependencies to balance things. The program's nav dependency to balance items, like so. We're working with that. And also, the fact that we have a backtick there makes it very much easier to go through test, saying if you use this format to comment out test files. If you use comment test sections, if you want to know how many things you comment out, all you do is backtick, type WC, return the number of lines that have the backtick. So you know how many more tests you have. That's why I sat down and developed the Perl 6000. which has inside something like 27 plus files, 230 odd tests, and I'm now down to maybe 20 tests left. So speaking of testing, there's two ways to go about doing this, or rather, two ways to go about solving a problem like this. Either write a test suite and you have some stuff in there that is not necessarily things that are author only, like say in my model, I have a lot of stuff there that is validation for me curling, but I do want someone else to be able to run that. In Perl 5, what you do now is declare the environment variable, say strict or author, and have code inside there, and it does stuff. But the thing is, of course, a couple things here to point out. The first thing here is that obviously if blah blah in line in your code is going to slow things down. At least in Perl 5. Also, you got to remember and look around for the champion with our EMP variable to look up what you did for the author debugging every time that you go through, or to say, okay, it's always author or always something. The other thing here is that this is actually over inside your core package. So this is not inside the test file. This is over inside module. And you want to keep a separation line between your debugging stuff and the rest of the world. Well, the line gets a little bit blurry. You have this going on over here in test, and you have this going on over here in your application code. So, one thing, we got this environment variable dependency going on outside that you don't really want to use. So, again, process comes to the rescue with the concept of the dynamic variable. So you'll see here, this is a outside variable. You give us a regular variable inside your method, but it's not clear anywhere. There's no my here, there's no there should be my up there, I apologize. There's no my or star strict over there. Nothing like that. This is over in your code. And this is over here in your test. So what happens is Perl 6 says, all right, star, anything with the star sign is a dynamic variable and can be declared anywhere. So instead of declaring the variable inside your package here and declaring up your namespace, you're using %env to communicate information around, you don't want your namespace declared because it will be a big debug feature. And you must remember too that Perl 6 is not compiled, so if we have a way to eliminate that, then code runs faster. In Perl 5, if you say if move, you've always got head staff value. In Perl 6, you have this. So it's not passive, you simply treat it as a flight. I shouldn't use the word strict there, I apologize. Dollar strict. My So this is over here, and automatically in other portions of the program triggers the hidden debug code. So you out there as the user never need to know about this. If you look there, you might see the $. But you don't need to worry about that. It won't impact debugging. Another thing that another compound that I see in a lot of at least 5 Perl 5 code that I keep updating and evolving as I move more into Perl 6. I'm already to the point where I should say, not quite. I moved past the point where I dropped out the errors in my Perl 5 code. I right now gone over that and classified my so Perl 6. I don't use the errors in Perl 5. I still do. So we're kind of closing on the end here. The last panel I see and resolve. This can be resolved in 524, right? In Perl 5, you have a one column pattern here. I'm sure we've all had to use that one for another. If you want to print this out, but you look out all entries. All right. Okay, let's well, let's do that. I will bring, goes down to the last bit here. So we have, new truck case here. The pair that we have here in Perl 6 and Perl 6 and Perl 5. If they mix and this comes out. We're now down to that. So you have your, so instead of having both, instead of having the index and Perl card, now we use the two card pair. You take the index and you get one card. So I know we'll have that probably likely from Perl 5 out to Perl 6. And again, I have a course with a relic coming up on the subject, which the Wi-Fi fix. On these, we'll pick up the oil 30 feet.
Oh, you want to look? Denominator.